and welcome to this episode of the Gunman Raw. So we're going to get stuck straight into it today. We've got a full respray on this Mazda CX5 up to the clear coat stage, or the candy stage. I decided to use the DB1 C2. I've got a 1.3 mil fluid tip in it, and yeah, let's get going. So PPG Enviro base is the base coat colour, and I'm using a different clear than usual because they ran out of the usual clear, which is 136 LVC 136 is what I usually use, but because they ran out, I'm using the international clear, which is the D8173. So some of my international viewers will probably know this clear. It's just a conventional clear. I think it's high solids or UHS, whatever it is. Either way, I've been reducing it at 0.9, so it's a little bit more reducer than what they recommend, at least. Like, they recommend 0.8, but I don't know, I find, especially for these Mazda resprays, it just looks a little bit flatter when you put that little bit more reducer in. I'm using a medium reducer, but because I've got so many coats of this candy to put down, I've got my own little cheat, a trick. I like to put the accelerator, so the U-Pole paint rocket, I put a little bit of that in. So 2 litres, I put 20 mils in, but I'm only going to be doing that on the candy stages. It can make the clear pinch up a bit, but what it does, it accelerates the drying. So I don't want it to be drying as I'm spraying it, that's why I use the medium reducer. But then once it's down, I want it to go and dry as fast as possible so I can put the next coat without trapping the solvents in from the previous coat. So look, my regulars will know that I've done quite a few of these Sol Red Crystal resprays, so I've definitely had enough experience to know what I'm doing and to know that it does work and that I don't get any adverse effects from doing it this way. If anything, I find it comes up better for me anyway. So on the first coat, I don't really focus on the edges too much, as in all these edges, you know. I just focus on the flats. Because, look, half the battle with a candy respray is getting the edges all nice. So you do have to be careful that you don't overload the material on all of your edges. Because there's so many coats, like, you got to count how many coats. So we've got one coat of wet on wet primer, and those who watched the base coat video on this will remember that I ended up having to put 4 coats of base coat on. It was just like a little bit mossily, a little bit patchy in the base coat, so I had to put an extra drop coat on. Ultimately it looked good. It looked good before I cleared it, but so yeah, there's 1 coat of wet on wet, 4 coats of base coat, 3 coats of tinted clear, and then 1 coat of normal clear. So you must be up around 10 different coats around there. One of my regulars, he said, hey, you were going to use the DB1 on your next respray, and I actually did it. He must have missed it, but yeah, John from the UK, I think it was. John WD40. Thanks for being a loyal Gunman follower. Commenting, and no doubt you hit the like button before you watch. That's what I do on all my favourite creators. I don't even need to watch the video, I'll just hit like. Even if I don't agree with some of the stuff they say, it's like I still appreciate and like them as a person, you know. 5-minute break in between this coat and the next coat. So that's what I've been doing. I've been doing 5 minutes between the first and the second, 10 minutes between the second and the third, and then I think it's like 15 or 20. But as it may turn out, if my lunch break falls between like the third and the fourth, I might just leave it for like 40 minutes over lunch break or something like that. But either way, like usually I'll just go up by say 5 or 10 minutes in between, because as you get more on, there's more to bake out, you know what I mean? You don't want to tap all those stolen cents. But if I wasn't using that paint rocket, you'd probably want to give it 20 minutes to half an hour between each coat. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, that little bit of paint rocket, it's saving energy, it's saving the boss money, and it makes for a better job. It's saving me time. So even on just an environmental level, it's a good thing, you know what I mean? I actually do care about the environment. I'm not one of those, I'm not a preacher, but I still do, I don't know, I believe you've got to be the change that you want to see in the world. I think there's too many people out there, they just think that the government can fix all of their bloody problems. It's like, mate, if you want the environment to be better, you don't drive your car, or you know, buy yourself a car with a small engine. Just like me, like I've gone and bought myself a little Corolla. It's got a small carbon footprint. One day I'll probably buy an electric vehicle, but either way, I'm going to go hit bake between this and the next 5 minutes, and I'll see you back here soon. Rightio guys, back to it. So as I say, I gave it a 5-minute bake, but I've actually been changing the temperature a bit. I used to bake a lot lower but longer, but now I've been cranking the temp up on the bakes. I've been going 70 degrees, which is the hottest that these boots will go. But yeah, it's been working quite well. I did notice that must have came from the roof. That wasn't there before. There's like a nib. Sometimes you get a little bit, when you hit bake, like a little puff of air sometimes clears some dust from the roof filters. Anyway, so on this coat, the second coat, I always do the edges. There's a reason for it. That way you're not leaving the edges for too long without being coated. I've tried it another way and it didn't work as well. So yeah. As I say, like most of my methods, they're pretty well thought out and tried and tested, you know. That doesn't mean that, I mean, like this is one thing that I think about sometimes. If I look back to the way I painted when I started this channel, man, I look back at that guy and say, what a hack. You know what I mean? I guess my point is that we're constantly evolving as people, and we're always trying new things and learning. So yeah, you know, that's like, no doubt I'll look back at this in 2 years and say, I wouldn't do that anymore, you know what I mean? So yeah. And that's all I do for the edges. So this is obviously my second coat of candy. We're going to put 3 coats of candy on all up, but only 1 coat of candy on the edges. So my next coat of candy goes over just the faces like I did on the first coat of candy, and then the last coat, which has got no candy in it but it's just normal clear, goes over the edges as well. So it goes over the faces and the edges. That's just one that I came up with myself. So, is it right, is it wrong? I don't know, I don't care, but it works for me. And as far as like, people might say, oh, what's the best gun for getting a flat finish? There's another one that must have dropped from the roof. Oh, it's all good. I'll polish it out. Yeah, I found it's more important to get the viscosity right on your clear coat than the gun you're using. If your clear's too thick, you're going to get a chunky orange seal no matter what gun you put it through. If you've got the right viscosity on the clear, that's half of the battle. And it's funny, like when I told one of my paint reps, I said, oh, I've been using this viscosity cup, he's like, turned his nose up and he's like, oh, you don't need to use that. It's like, why? Like, I would think a paint rep would say good on you for using the correct tools for the job. But everyone's different, I guess. Maybe he doesn't think it's necessary. I found that it did help me, but now I know the thinning ratio that I need to use on the, like at the different temperatures, so it will change. It might turn out that in the colder weather, if I haven't heated the clear up, I need to put a little bit more reducer in it. But you can counteract that by putting the clear in the booth to warm it up, because that will thin the clear down in and of itself just by warming it up. So I can smash this on very heavily while being confident that I'm not going to get solvent foil, because that first coat is very dry. Like it's very well cured. Partly because of the rocket, the paint rocket, and partly because of the bake. But yeah, like talking about the environment and shit like that, man, this is a classic example. Like I used to work with this guy, right? And it was a long time ago. It was like, it must have been 2007, right? Because he was a Labour voter, right? He's like, oh, Kevin 07 or whatever. That's why I remember. It must have been 2007. And I'm like, oh, why are you voting for him? Oh, because he's gonna fix the environment. I'm like, mate, no way is he going to fix the environment. But I guess my point is, you think that all you need to do is vote somebody into power and they're going to fix the problem. But then he would be marking a car up in the spray booth with the doors open. When the spray booth is turned on with the heater on in the spray booth. Like, dude, close the doors. Like, if you need the heater on in the booth, at the very least, close the doors. Like, you go on about global warming, you are literally pumping hot air into the environment. Like, and you're gonna go and vote for some clown who promises that he's gonna fix the environment by taxing us, who brought in a carbon tax which made regassing your air conditioner go from something like $90 to $900. You know, and that's gonna fix the environment? Yeah, right, man. Good on you, man. But that's my point, is that just be the change. Like, if you care about the environment, do things in your own life that's gonna impact it on a positive level. Don't think someone else is gonna come and fix all of your bloody problems, man. Take responsibility. That's why I love people like Jordan Peterson, is they promote you improving your own life. Like Jordan Peterson said, he goes like, clean your room. And basically what he means like by that is like, worry about yourself before you worry about the rest of the world. Like, if you can't keep your own room in order, how are you expected to worry about all of the world's problems? You know what I mean? But either way, mate, Gunny's ranting now. This job's looking pretty good though, actually. Got a nice tight seal in it. It took me a while to get the hang of this PPG, but I think I'm just about there now. That's about to run out. So that's just about 2 litres gone. By the time I finish this pot here, that'll be 2 litres gone. I'll need like another 800 or 900 mils to put the last coat of candy on. Obviously you always use more when you're doing the edges, so the second coat always takes a little bit more. First coat, you might have noticed that I didn't even need to top up. That one pot got me through, but this second coat here I had to top up or change over. So one of these PPS pots fits about 900. Technically they say 850, but you can get actually a little bit more than 900 mils in. But yeah, this is a good gun. I actually don't usually use this for clear. I don't know, I was kind of looking at my guns and I actually took a glance. Now, mate, you think I'm not game? I actually looked at the Lotus, which is the Lotus Supernova. I didn't look at it for very long. It takes a brave man to even look at that, that gun. I'm half joking, but it is a bit of a beast to tame. Just about going to run out here. It's alright, I've got a little bit more in the other pot, need be. Just going to make it. Just going to make it by the looks of it. I hate having to remix up more when you got... That happened like last time or the time before. I nearly made it over the job but just ran out. Alright, looking good guys, looking good. Nice. And that's drops, mate, drops. Anyway, I'm going to give it a 10-minute bake between this coat and the next coat. I'll see you in a minute. Rightio guys, so continuing on, I gave it a 10-minute bake this time. And again, obviously let it go through its cool down cycle. Yeah, you can see that like the gloss level has died down, and that's why I don't put the... I don't know how well you can see that, but it's sort of like... Looks like a semi-gloss finish, but yeah, that's because of the paint rocket, the paint accelerator. So that's why I really only use it on these resprays for the candy stage. So, and yeah, because I'm sealing it down with the last coat without that in there, it's usually all good. Well, it's always been all good. said before, this coat here, we're just going over the faces, not over all of the edges. Yeah, so this colour here, like, lots of people really love it. And look, it's okay, but it's not the best colour out there. Like, if you put this up against a real candy, it looks crap. It doesn't look very good, and I've done it, trust me. So we've got a job coming up soon. It's a WRX Subaru, and the owner, he wants like monster flakes. He actually saw one of my videos, and he wanted me to paint his car. So, oh, what the hell, man? I've got a gun grip. What? I might have to redo that roof. I will have to redo that roof. Oh well. Damn, man, where did that even come from? There's a bit of a leak there. I hate that, man. I'm gonna have to redo that roof now. Oh well, it is what it is. I'm only human. The show must go on. Anyway, as I was saying, this guy with the WRX, he wanted to do a candy over flake job, because I did a video when I did my door handles, or the interior door trim handles on my little Corolla, and I did it with like the Hollywood flake and the SEM candy apple red over the top. And at the point he brought his car in, or we were talking about doing the job, we were discussing how we were going to get the colour, and he was saying, because we couldn't find that candy here in Australia, that's right, so he came up with the idea. He said, hey, why don't we use this candy over the flakes, because we could get the flakes. And then I did a trial, like a spray out on that colour, and oh my god, this colour looks terrible, man. Over flakes, it's very milky. So I called up one of the PPG reps, Tony. I said, what's going on with that candy, man? I put it over flakes, and he's like, oh no, it's got like UV protectants in it, which makes sense, because it is a you know, it's a daily driver colour, a colour that goes on everyday cars, you know, so it sort of makes sense that they do put some UV protectants in it, because like normal candies will fade really bad in the sun, but yeah, like you definitely do sacrifice some of the look. Like if you look at this next to a candy apple red, man, it looks like a solid colour red, man. That's how much of a big of a difference the real candy makes. Like it's a massive difference. So lunch break is coming up. I might not even bake this. If I do, I might just give it a 5-minute bake between this coat and the last coat. I'm a bit let down about that roof. Oh well, not the end of the world. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and one of them was saying, like, if you were like stuck on the moon and you lost, like, there was no, like, your rocket ship stopped working or whatever, and you had 2 days left of oxygen, like, all you would care about is coming back down to Earth. You wouldn't care how much money you had. You wouldn't care about, I don't know, all the minor petty little things that's going on in your life. You would just be happy to be walking on planet Earth, you know what I mean? And it kind of made me sit back and put things into perspective, you know what I mean? And just think, yeah, well, yeah, I'm lucky just to be alive, and yeah. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves that when we get all caught up in all these minor petty arguments and all of that crap, it's good to just take a step back and say, hey, look at what I have, not what I don't have or whatever it be, you know what I mean? It's like, oh man, I feel like I'm about to run out of paint here. Come on baby. I can't go and speed up because you got to paint this candy like the same as the rest of the panels. Come on baby. Just made it. There we go. Nice. Nice. Ah, that bloody portrait, man. What a letdown. It hasn't even really built up again, like, it's just a tiny little drip. Must have been in the lid or something like that. Because I did reuse the same lid, so when you take it off, probably a little bit built up in the edge and then it's dripped out. Oh man. Anyway, lunch break. I'll see you back here for the last bit of clip. Radio guys, let's finish this job off. So I gave it like a 5-minute bake. I then had my lunch break and that's really nice and dry. Much more and I'd be scared that my next coat's not going to stick to it. But yeah, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to have pinched back so much. But not that that's going to matter, because this last coat of clear has got no of that rocket in it. None of that rocket in it. So, 0.9% reducer, or 0.9, whatever 0.9 means. So it's like 3 to 1 to 0.9 with the reducer. And, here we go. And yeah, medium speed reducer. One thing I like about these CX5s is they don't have the painted sill panel. With the Mazda 6s, the sill panel's painted, and there's like a little lip where you get like a funky edge pretty much always. Anyway. So for this last coat, I mixed up 1.45 litres, so 1450 mils. Mixed up 650 in that gun, or that pot, and 800 in this. I reckon 1400 probably would have done it, but I didn't want to get right up to that last panel and like get halfway through it, so I might end up with having an extra 100 mils left over, but on a respray that's really not the end of the world. job actually looks pretty clean. I mean, there's a couple of big ones, but I don't mind the big ones. I hate the little ones. I can deal with like a handful of big ones, but when you got a million little ones, that turns into a real pain in the ass. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Most of the time I used to cut out the footage of the doors, but I guess I was in the mood to doing a full-length respray. Rightio guys, that's it. Yeah, I had a feeling I was going to have about 100 or so mils left over, but look, for a job this size, it's not the end of the world. There we go. Let's have a close-up look at the job. And, oh yeah, I'm going to keep my respirator on. I don't want to breathe in all those fumes because it's just as bad now as when you're spraying, because don't look at those fumes over there. But it is actually nice to have a nice clean spray booth. Yeah, pity about that bloody gun grip. That's the gun we use, the DV1, beautiful gun, did a very good job. C2 is the air cut. It's a nice colour, not as good as a normal candy, but it's still a nice colour. I wouldn't paint my car this colour. If I was going to go to all this effort, I would just go with a real candy and put a few extra coats of the candy on in case it fades over time. So yeah, there's the gun grip. Oh no! Oh well, it is what it is, mate. We'll have to redo the roof. So yeah, I find that 0.9 reducer makes for a much nicer, tighter finish. I was getting them a little bit orange peely when I was going 0.8. Rightio guys, if you want to support the show, be sure to check the link in the description. Buy yourself a Gunman spray suit. There's loads more merch. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit.